Welcome to another episode of the Steal a Moment podcast with me, Michael LeBois. Today's guest is Dylan McConnell and Lee Hutchinson, better known as the Sogs. Two of my lifelong friends, college roommates, and guys I've loved getting to know over the last 15 plus years, and have really just enjoyed watching their growth as musicians and as artists. We talk about a whole lot of things. This interview was originally over 2 hours long, and got it down to a measly hour and 36 minutes just because there's so much I tried to figure out how to get rid of, but it's just such intriguing conversation about the state of the world of music and how we need to use our minds as creativity and what we're going to be doing. This was recorded back in early October or late September, so it's a little delayed. I cut out a lot of the bad sports takes, almost all of the bad sports takes. You'll see tags for the ones that were the worst. But overall, it was a lot of fun. Please make sure you check these guys out on Spotify. If you love downloading your music, they recommend Bandcamp. All of that information will be on the description below. Also coming up for Gunpowder Empire, we have the new video for Through Bloodshot Eyes coming out. We're looking at a potential December 2nd release date. We also have a vocal cover for 10 Years, Fix Me, coming out on Wednesday. So be ready for all of that. I'm super excited for you guys to see that and experience those as well. If you haven't yet, go find our YouTube page so you guys are ready. We only have 21 subs on that, and we'd love to get more. Speaking of subs, I'm at 39 subs, so close to reaching my goal for the end of the year. We are looking at 50. So if you can give us 50, that would be fantastic. And I'm so excited. This podcast has been a lot of fun. We have some great guests coming up in the second half of the year of this wonderful show. So also, just a reminder, there will be no episode next week as I will be enjoying some vacation time. In this terrible time, we've had to do some things to kind of adjust for how we're going to be doing Thanksgiving this year, and looking forward to having a week off from this and other things, as it takes a lot of time to build these episodes and do all of the work that comes with podcasts. So it'll be good to take a week off and get the batteries recharged and get set to start working again on this project, and get a feel for what it feels like to be not as busy for a little while. With that being said, the Sogs and I would like to steal a moment.
Edit where we need to. It's
sounds good, man.
The fun of this shit. I love doing this. This has been so much fun. So how's it going?
Good, man. I'm enjoying an Allez Les Bleus.
Allez les Bleus. Fantastic. What kombucha? Is that kombucha for you, Lee?
Yeah. You gotta keep it over here though, because it's in the frame. Oh, we're recording. You're missing all the good stuff here. It's cream soda.
That beard is fucking beautiful, man.
Oh, thanks, man.
Nice. Are you gonna shave it before the wedding or no?
No, I'm keeping it. You're gonna shave this part and this part for the landing strip,
Yeah, the most important part.
Okay. Make sure you put that in the podcast.
Oh, that's staying in. I already started recording. I don't care. Look at that. I got all that gray right there.
You are getting gray.
Getting bad, man.
That's all right. I started noticing. You probably can't see it, but up top here, I'm starting to get a little bit of gray.
I'm just gonna shave my head.
Gonna pull a Sinead O'Connor.
Yeah.
Well, nothing compares to you, so it works.
Beautiful.
So, yeah.
Oh shit! So how are you guys doing, man? It's sad I haven't seen you in like a year, and everything's been shitty.
Man. Yeah, I think the last time was for the Rockies game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it totally was. You have a nice house, Mike.
It's my girlfriend's apartment. I don't claim any of this shit. The only thing that's mine is the table right here.
Well, the table looks nice from what I can see.
Thank you. It's very nice.
You in there?
Yeah, she actually I'm officially moving in at the end of the month.
Oh, nice.
Tell her pillow arrangement is very nice. It's very feng shui.
Yeah, normally she's here, but she decided to go out to dinner tonight for this one, so understand.
Probably smart, because if we were talking for too long, she'd probably break up with you like on camera at some point.
Fuck. So you guys have actually been playing quite a bit. For those of you guys who don't know, these two guys are the Sogs. It's been nice to see them actually getting out to play a little bit. Tell me a little bit about the band, how you guys got started and everything like that. You can go back to the Harvestman days even if you want. It'd be fun.
Yeah, I mean, even before that, me and Lee played in kind of a like jazz rock, space rock band back in the early 2010s called Out of Orbit, I think is what we called ourselves.
Out of Orbit.
So we started, that's the first time I was in a band, about 2010. Then we didn't really do anything for a while. That kind of was just a 3 or 4 months type thing.
Yeah.
And then our old buddy Cole and Lee here wanted to form a band, and we called that Harvestman. We played in that for quite a while, like 3-4 years.
Yeah, 3 years. Right when Cole came back from New York.
And then when that sort of dissipated, when Cole was moving on to some different things, me and Lee still wanted to play. And our buddy Tanner was also around and was looking to be in a band, and he's a really good drummer. So Lee and Tanner kind of started noodling on some stuff, and Lee's got, 100 songs in his head at any given time. So he was showing Tanner some stuff. Tanner was kind of laying down some tracks with him on that. And Lee basically was like, hey, would you want to, do something in another band? We're kind of forming something. And we just kind of started jamming together and wanted to see if it worked. And after a couple months, we had a good list of songs going. So
yeah, that's the fun part about it is I know Lee and I messed around a little bit with some music when we were living together up in Greeley and doing stuff with that. And I definitely can feel that vibe. Like you guys have the combination that works really well together. I am not a good enough musician to play with Lee, or I guess a patient enough musician, because Lee has you have a very unique style, right, Lee?
Yeah. I mean, that's what lots of people tell me. That's why it's hard to follow with the key changes and things. And I don't know what I'm doing. It just sounds good.
Right, exactly. And to you, and that's what's the most important. I've had several musicians on right now, and if you can't enjoy the shit you're playing, there's no reason to keep playing it. It's really hard. Like I can't imagine how bands who hate their own songs have to play those songs.
That would suck.
There are bands who hate their most popular songs and like, we have to fucking play that again tonight. God, that sounds terrible. Like, but everyone wants to hear it, It's crazy. It's just
I always wonder that about major touring acts that go on the road for a year and a half where they play nearly the same set after every single night. I'm always like, I wonder if I would be in that boat, like after 10 nights in a row of playing my big radio hit, if I'd want to kill myself.
I can tell you from experience, it's not that bad as long as you're getting the same reaction from people every night. Like being able to tour and do those things is kind of cool and also kind of stressful. Like, the nice thing is when you have the same set list, you don't have to worry about what you're playing that night.
That's true.
It's like one of the lower tier things that you have to stress about. What are some of you guys' influences? Like, who are you guys
I
directing your focus towards?
Mostly space. Aliens. You know, we're really trying to appeal to the aliens out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's funny is we get asked that question quite a bit, and I don't know if we have ever thought about what to make our sound like. I think we just like play shit and see what it sounds like, and that's just what it is. But I'd say like our influences as far as like what we like personally to listen to and what has probably influenced us subconsciously is definitely stuff from the 80s, early 90s. We're definitely grunge babies. Lee's gotten me into so many like 80s groups that I kind of missed out on because when I was younger, I was kind of like the 80s were a shit time period of music because I just thought about, the typical stuff. And he showed me so much stuff that I didn't really, realize, oh, that's 80s. Okay, the 80s are actually pretty bomb. Like, that's cool.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. I mean, granted, my influence of the 80s came from Sean. And so there was that. But then, like, went and did a little deep dive myself and found some pretty interesting shit on that front. But the other thing too is you guys are both diverse in your love of music. I mean, you're rocking a Run the Jewels shirt right now.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons that we actually became friends in a lot of ways, besides super inappropriate stories and really weird nights.
Pink sock.
Oh God. We're not going to talk about the pink sock story on this. We can, but if I ever get monetized, it's going to fuck me.
It'll just be that mysterious story that you'll have to pull out someday.
Yeah, my girlfriend's mom watches this. Hi, Carrie.
Nice.
Pink sock was, when you wash a red sock with like
a bunch of white socks. Yeah.
It's a Christmas thing.
You're
not supposed to wash your reds with whites. That's what we're trying to say here.
Right.
Yeah.
Remember, separate your colors. That's all I have to say. Damn it, I miss you guys. Oh, man. So, also, for reference, so Lee, Dylan, and I all went to college together. I was actually Lee's RA for an entire semester before I got fired. But yeah, that's the long and short of it is like we met in college. We had a blast in college. All three of us lived in a house together with another guy who really enjoyed 7-Eleven at midnight, eating all of our food. And
he just loved eating.
He just loved eating in general. And then putting Palmolive in the dishwasher.
Yeah, that was a first for me.
Yeah,
separate your colors and don't put Palmolive in the dishwasher.
Right.
Dish soap is not dishwasher soap.
Correct. Dish soap is not dishwasher soap.
It's a tough lesson when you get to college, kids.
Yeah, and do your own fucking laundry. So, what's your connection to Grimm Brothers? It's your dad, right, Dylan?
My dad works as the taproom manager of Grimm Brothers. We've been friends of theirs since they kind of opened their doors. 7-8 years ago now?
Wow, it's really been. It's only been that long. I feel like it's been way longer. That's crazy. That's
they were
awesome.
one of the first. Yeah, they were one of the first breweries in Loveland, and I've lived in Loveland most of my life. When they opened, my dad's always been an avid home brewer, so we immediately started coming here because it was cool to have like an actual microbrewery in town. And then over the years, we've just gotten to know everyone here, and he ended up working as the taproom manager for him now. So we've gotten really close with the staff. We just love the place in general. Beer's great, atmosphere's cool. But especially this last year, they've been extremely kind to us with the whole COVID pandemic. There aren't a lot of places for, bands to play in general. So we've been lucky enough to be able to do some socially distanced shows the last few months. And even when, nothing was going on, they were kind enough to let us use their tap room to do live stream shows as well. So in the months where, we were going stir crazy, it was like we still had sort of this little connection to the world where we could actually play a show, and we weren't sure what kind of feedback we would get. And we had, quite a few people that logged on to watch, which made it feel like, the community wasn't just completely missing. So it kind of kept us sane.
Yeah,
it was cool.
Yeah, we played our first show this year actually.
Oh wow.
With Sean and I did an acoustic set for Gunpowder. Just because it's been interesting to kind of watch how music has started to try to transition through all of this and find ways to make things work. And we're waiting for venues to open, and unfortunately venues have been closing as well. And it's unfortunate because I'm in a genre that doesn't really have too many venues in Denver anymore. With the major markets like Live Nation buying up some of our major venues, we lose venues. Like venues like Larimer Lounge don't book bands like mine. Soil Dove doesn't book bands like mine. Losing Hodie's Half Note in Fort Collins hurt because that was a venue we would play all the time.
Yeah.
And things like that. What are you guys seeing on your end up there in northern Colorado? That's kind of, what do you think is going to be the next step once we start being able to actually like have audiences and play shows to people again?
So I'd say, first of all, we got kind of lucky, and I say lucky not because of anything that's going on, because it's insanely unlucky for everyone what's going on this year. But we went from a 3-piece with a drummer down to a 2-piece acoustic. So me and Lee he plays guitar, I play bass, I play a little bit of saxophone, and we do vocals. But any drum tracks that we do come from a drum machine. So right now, our sound is best equipped for smaller venues. So when this whole thing happened, we actually, were able to still play every once in a while once things started reopening, because if you, observe the socially distanced guidelines and you wear your masks and you keep your space, some venues are able to function that way, like Grimm Brothers, for instance. So we've been able to still play shows from time to time. I will say there's still, quite a few venues that we used to play that now, we're waiting to see when they'll be allowed to open. One of the worst pieces of news this last week is a place we really liked called Pinball Jones actually just closed. And that was one of those places that, we just loved. We went there and we saw some of our favorite bands there locally, and we got to play there and had a lot of fun. And seeing venues like that the people there and the actual atmosphere, seeing them close down just really, really sucks. As far as what's next, we've been seeing in Fort Collins, they've been doing the kind of drive-in movie theater concerts. We haven't really looked into that personally, but we've seen bands that have started to go there, and I think on Fridays and Saturdays they'll have live music right there on the stage at the actual drive-in movie theater. And some bands are able to get back out and do things like that. So I don't know if that's the future. I hope it's not for long, but I mean, people are coming up with cool ways to keep being able to play. I also saw some bands doing some stuff at Red Rocks, which I thought they were closed for the season, but they're having like less than 200 people, which has got to be just
super eerie,
weird. Yeah.
I
heard Gasoline Lollipops, which is a local band, played a couple shows there, and now I think Nathaniel Rateliff is playing like 5 shows in a row, but it's like 200 people. So I'm like, as an artist, it's got to be kind of interesting to be able to like pick individual people out of a crowd like that.
Yeah, I think that'll be interesting to see, because I know that Fiddlers is been under fire for not wanting to open up and be available, but that's the option of Fiddlers because it's owned by Live Nation, I believe, or AEG. So that's on the company, not on the venue, and a lot of people are like really upset about it. I'm okay with the idea of waiting, like just to see how much, I mean, not much longer, obviously. We got to kind of figure out how we want to handle this as musicians in general and as people. I mean, I live now in the heart of downtown Denver. So I've been around seeing the impact of this from the downtown Denver perspective, seeing the homelessness and the functionality of that part of it, and watching protests and watching the way the world is kind of changing before our eyes here in the city. And part of it is people don't seem to understand that venues don't, like, it's not going to do them any good to try and force themselves to be open so that they have to close and potentially lose any licensing that they have.
Well, it's kind of a two-pronged problem because first of all, you want to be socially conscious. You want people to be safe, just as a human. But I mean, business-wise, the reason they're so gun shy isn't just because of the social aspect. It's because if you're the venue to open and you cause a bunch of people to get sick and potentially have, life-altering effects or possibly die from this disease, you're going to be held responsible for that. And you're gonna lose your company in the long run because people are gonna say, what were you doing opening your doors in a pandemic? So there's no real easy solution, because it's like, if you try to move forward and it doesn't work, you're kind of fucked as a business owner. It's just, that's the way it is right now.
Right.
And we all want to play. We all want to see shows. I've been laughing about every year. I kind of like to go down my list of shows that I've gone to see, because my favorite pastime is going to see live music.
Right.
I just love it. And this year, I think by year's end, the only concert I'm going to have seen is going to be from January. And this is just bizarre. I try to go to 20 or 30 shows a year, and it's like, I haven't seen a live show other than, a couple of live stream performances and me and Lee playing together, since January. It just feels strange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the other part of it too. And Lee, you can probably lead into this a little bit more. You guys go to Austin City Limits every year, right?
Yeah.
Most years, yeah.
Yeah. So think about that. Like, these major festivals that we've all attended over the last you know what? I'm just going to say it now. I blame Warped Tour for quitting for all of this. The lack of pop punk in our lives is ruining everything.
I know.
But let's change gears a little bit. So on this podcast, I cover everything. I've had athletes, I've had musicians, I've had PR people, actors, voice actors, everything. So I want to transition to sports real quick because I can do that. Lee, you and I have had a very open feud about football in the past. We actually were together when the day before the Broncos got smoked by your Seahawks.
Yeah, it was great. Everybody thought
There's still a photo somewhere.
Yeah, it's on Facebook.
We came to see a show when you guys were, is that Scarlet Canary?
It was Scarlet Canary. You are correct.
Yeah, there is a photo of all you guys in Broncos gear, and I think you're covering up Lee's Seahawks hat.
I'm pulling it up right now. Because it shows.
Man was talking crap to me.
Yeah, and the scary thing is it shows up on my memory page every day. It's like pictures of you and Sean and Dylan and Lee.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Memories.
I'll edit it into the video there, and we'll put it in here. But yeah, and that was like, the only real thing. You have a connection to Washington, right, Lee? What's your vibe?
There.
You're from there.
Mm.
Do you have any other loyalties to sports teams in Seattle? I don't ever remember you talking about the Mariners because they're garbage.
They are garbage. I love the Mariners, but I didn't really go to a lot of Mariners games when I lived there. I used to go to Supersonics games all the time. I actually got to see Michael Jordan play the Sonics in Seattle. My grandpa bought me tickets to see that.
That's dope.
When they played in the finals, that was cool. And but they don't exist anymore, which is cool. So it's really sad, and yeah. So that's kind of where I am. I gotta be a Kraken fan now, apparently.
Yeah, you should. Those uniforms are legit. They're awesome, and you should totally be a Kraken fan. I will allow you
that's
to.
A great mascot.
Yeah, I will allow you to leave any Colorado allegiance behind to become a Seattle Kraken fan.
Yeah, and I don't even know hockey at all, but I'm gonna tell you, man, these Nuggets. I love Jamal Murray now.
Oh, dude.
I really did not think he was worth that contract up until these playoffs.
100%.
I'm like, he is proving 100. Yeah, exactly. I am super impressed with him, and they are gelling, and they lucked out with Michael Porter Jr., and I am a Nuggets fan from now until I die.
Welcome to the bandwagon, my friend.
Yeah.
I'm happy to have you on it. And,
I love bandwagons.
But Dylan, I know what color your blood is. I know that it's been an interesting fall already for you. How does it feel knowing that there will be no Alabama championship this year?
Wait, what do you mean?
Aren't they not playing? Isn't the SEC calling it quits? They're playing?
No.
Oh.
The SEC's been on board since the beginning.
Okay. Well, then never mind. How does it feel to know that you're not going to have an Alabama championship this year, even with them playing?
COVID-19's not real, man.
No, so football's been kind of an interesting roller coaster because I think for a long time we didn't think there was going to be any on any level. College has kind of, let the conferences decide what they want to do. So right now the ACC, SEC, and the Big 12 are all planning on playing. Big 12 and ACC have already started. SEC starts this weekend. Big 10 just voted today, and they're going to start in October, so they decided to go back.
Right. I wouldn't be surprised if the Pac-12 holds off, though.
I think they want to play, but I think there's bigger restrictions on the West Coast. Which,
yeah, California's a mess.
Yeah, I think part of it's the wildfires, part of it is the actual, disease that's going on right now. But I don't know. Like, it's interesting because we just got into the pro season. We've just started the college season. I just read today that the Texans and Chiefs game, the first game of the NFL season, nobody tested positive for COVID, which is a great sign.
But the fans did.
What's that?
A fan did.
Yeah, well, it's Missouri.
But yeah, I
worry about college because the major universities have, some of the same money that the NFL does, not quite the same level, but they'll be able to continue testing and they have, clean facilities. But then there's the smaller teams I worry about that are going to be devastated with people coming down with this thing. And I don't know what the season's going to look like. I hope we get a full season on both levels. You know me, I'm a giant football fan. It's pretty much the only sport I follow religiously. But I'm just soaking it in every possible moment because I don't know if we're going to get a full season.
Yeah, that's the other thing I was going to say. So you're originally from Alabama, but you're a Panthers fan because there's no pro teams in Alabama because Alabama.
Well, so I grew up in Alabama. All my family lives in Alabama, but we moved to North Carolina when I was a little bit older. We got the Panthers franchise in '95. When I was growing up in Alabama, there's really no pro team in football you give a crap about because the closest one's probably Atlanta.
And they were
they were bad, but it's just like the roots for Southern football go through colleges. Right. So we were huge Crimson Tide fans my whole life. When we got the Panthers in North Carolina, it was like my first taste of pro football. And everyone in the Carolinas was, crazy excited because it's like we've got this major franchise moving to town. And for the first few years of Carolina's franchise, they were pretty awesome too. So it was like all of a sudden, we're all big pro football fans. So I'm one of the few people, I think, my age that can say I've been a fan of a franchise since its inception, which is kind of cool to say.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'm fortunate enough to be an Avalanche fan since they came to Colorado in '95, but I was a Nordiques fan before that. So my favorite team came to me, which is even cooler.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have been drinking beer if I wanted this to all be above board. So,
speaking of which, how is it? I want the Ala Blue.
Oh yeah, I should probably shout this out. This is a beer for my buddy Mike and my buddy Nico, if he happens to be watching, called Alle Le Bleu, which is a tribute to French farmhouse ales and the French national soccer team. Their actual little logo on their little board of beers, you'll be happy to know, is your patch with the 2 stars above it. So seriously?
Yeah, the 2-star patch. Woo! Finally won another World Cup in my lifetime.
Yeah.
All right.
We were with you motherfuckers when you guys won the second one, and it was a lovely, lovely morning at 7 a.m.
We saluted with champagne.
We smoked all that pot.
It's the last time I smoked pot too. I got actually, so fun story about that. Like 3 days after that, I went and played basketball, and had a full-blown anxiety attack and blacked out in my living room.
That's probably from all the PCP that I put in everyone's drinks, though.
Yeah, so I thought I had a sports-induced asthma attack. I thought I was having breathing problems. I went and had a cardiac stress test before we went hiking. Like before I went up to the, I had a cardiac stress test the day I was driving up to meet you guys for the camping in Red Feather that weekend.
Was that right after that?
Yeah.
That was. Wow. Holy crap. It's already been a couple of years.
Yeah. So I like literally went to the doctor, did this cardiac stress test, and then drove to the middle of fucking nowhere, afraid I wasn't gonna find it. Panicked.
That's why you were so freaked out. It all makes sense now.
Yeah.
I wish I had screen captures I could send you, because we were like, we need to tell Mike where this place is. So backstory here. We went to this campsite in Red Feather where there's a certain point in Red Feather where all cell service just evaporates. It's just gone. So we were like, you need to go to this specific place and then keep following the road until you see yellow tape, because we were going to go ahead and tape off the route so anyone behind us can find us. But we lost cell service right as Mike was like, I think I'm lost. I can't find the campsite. And then none of us could respond to Mike. So we were convinced, like, he's going to get all the way down here and, like, have to turn around. He's never going to find us. And then right as sun was setting that night, he pulls into camp. And we were like, oh, crap, holy crap, Mike found us. Well, the Sunday we went back home, as soon as we get to cell range, me and Asa and Nico, it was like lines of text messages that was just like, help, I don't know where I am. I don't know how to get there. Fucking answer me.
And I literally, like, turned around 3 times. I parked. I cried. I screamed. What the fuck am I doing? I hate camping. What the fuck, man? Like, and then I found it and I was like, oh, okay. I just had to fucking keep going. Well, like, that was the crazy part, was like, if I had just kept going and if I had just relaxed, it would have been fine. I made it.
All right.
Pandemic. So I still pay rent at my apartment, and then I live here because I've been here since the pandemic started. We decided, it was like, hey, we should just move in together through this. Not realizing it was going to be like 7 months of cohabitating and doing all of that stuff. So she's gotten to see me frustrated with sports now and video games, Lee. She's experienced that aspect.
That's fantastic.
You haven't broken any PlayStation controllers, have you?
I haven't broken a PlayStation controller in 3 years.
Remember when you got that speeding ticket and you threw your keys at the wall?
Yeah.
And you almost hit me in the head?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
So sports are a good test of a relationship, because I had been dating Jessica for about 3 months when Alabama played that Georgia national championship.
Oh, shit.
And she saw me through the roller coaster of emotions where I was sure we were going to lose, and then I was hoping we were going to win. And then we won on a last second and 26 touchdown in overtime. And I screamed until I couldn't make sounds out of my mouth anymore. And she still kept me. So I guess I found the right person.
Yeah. I mean, I've been allowed to watch the Nuggets playoff games and the Avalanche playoff games and the Bronco games. So I'd say she's like, yeah, go ahead. That sounds great. That's fine. Like, her family's not much of a sports family. Her dad played a little baseball in college, but, you know, they're not like hardcore sports fans like my parents were, or like your dad and you are, you know. So it's one of those things, like, we've found common grounds and things that we enjoy together, but we also can do things apart from each other. And ironically enough, I work for a cable network, but we don't have TV here yet because I can't move my stuff until I finish my lease at my other apartment. And she lost her DirecTV like a month ago because the contract ran out and she didn't want to renew it. So whatever, it works for me. And so I've been able to stream stuff because Xfinity does streaming, which is awesome. So I've been able to like watch games on my computer, but like I wear headphones and she watches the Mindy Project and it's great. It works out nicely.
It's a win-win.
Yeah, it is a win-win. Well, what do you guys have coming up with the Sogs, and what's going on with the future of the project?
So we're talking about doing 3 shows for the rest of the year, and then take some time off just so we can actually start recording a full album. We've done a few EPs now and some singles and stuff, but I think we have enough songs that we have in the infant stages that we want to go ahead and try to do a full length. And to do that, we kind of want to have some time to, be able to just have some downtime outside of shows. And we're going to play a show at the end of this month on the 25th here at Grimm Brothers with another band called Midnight for Now. And they're a local band here that we're going to play with. So we're going to play that show. We're going to do a Halloween show also here and a Christmas show here. And then we're gonna kind of take some time off and focus on recording and writing. So
Nice.
Yeah, we got this new drum machine, and pretty spiffy. And I really want to integrate that and really get that going. I don't know, and just like it's always good to always be releasing stuff. I think that's very important, especially right now. And with everything going on, and we've never released a full album, and I think it'd just be really cool to see if we could put out 12 songs, which we could. Just gotta do it.
Where are you guys recording at?
It's called Stout Studios. It's in Fort Collins. Darren Raddick is the one that runs it. He has been there for probably about a little over 3 years, I think, like full time. He actually won best recording studio in Fort Collins last year.
Sweet.
Yeah, and his setup is, it's very simple, but that's what makes it good. It's very, it's adaptable. So it's not really, it's not stringent. Like he can do a lot of different things that you ask of him. Just recording different instruments and different environments, and he knows what you're going for is really, and he'll add his piece in if he'll ask you first if that's cool, and that's what we like that a lot, because I don't know, I want somebody to tell me what they think on their end, because they're hearing it for the first time very objectively. And I can just tell that he's on the same wavelength as what we're trying to do. And he plays in a lot of different bands, from time to time, in Fort Collins, and he's done that for years. And, he's probably the first one that we really feel like we really are on the same page with.
Which is really important with an engineer and a producer. You want somebody, at least in my opinion, you want somebody who is willing to put in their 2 cents, willing to give you an opportunity to really understand it, because you've been listening to the same song over and over again for however long you've been working on it, and you think you hear everything that there is. It's always good to have that fresh ear. That's why we go to Taylor Hahn in Hahn Audio in Aurora. We have 2 singles coming out. We just dropped announcement. Our next single comes out on the 16th of October. So we're releasing that on the 16th, and we just got artwork finished for it, so we're really excited about it. And it's nice because we've had Taylor to kind of help make it grow and help kind of find where we could change little things and adapt the song to make it more friendly and more available to a majority of audiences. And honestly, I think it's the best song Sean and I have ever done together with a band, next to, in my opinion, Silence, which is the acoustic song that we released last year. And the acoustic EP that we released last year. So, I totally agree. If you find a good engineer and a good producer that you really enjoy working with, it's amazing to stay with them and work with them. And they know what you have to offer, which also helps immensely.
Yeah. I think, what's cool about him too is like, I'll just go in there sometimes on my own, like, for like a couple hours, like during the week, and just like record something live, like just a rough track. And, then he'll send it to me and I'll send it to Dylan, and like, we'll listen to it. And a lot of stuff that we've released the last year and a half has been from things like that. Just being able to get that down on a good recording, on good recording equipment, and then being able to play around with it and have him like, and then he'll just be like, yeah, I was playing with it. I'm going to add some mandolin in this, and I'm going to add some, basic, kind of keyboard synth in the background, real just an atmospheric kind of thing. And it just, somebody who just, and it's cool to see someone who's never heard shit just be into it, because that's what I want. Like, it's cool to see somebody just be like, wow, that's, be into it. And he's always giving ideas, and he'll tell you straight up if he doesn't think something works. He's not necessarily like, that sucks. He goes, well, what about if you did it this way? He's great. He's great at it. And, this next thing I think we're going to do is going to be very, I wanted to include songs, that like Dylan's writing more songs now and stuff. And just, it's not stuff that has been sitting there for a while. It's stuff that we've been working on in the present tense.
Right.
And it's not all structurally built yet. So I think that it would be even more a reflection of what we're trying to do. And, there's a few songs already that Dylan put out there, and like, we're, like, we've gotten them, 90% done. And I think by the time we're ready to release the album, we'll have those on there. And that's cool. Like, I just like to have that ever rolling wheel of ideas constantly.
And that's important, because you got to keep creating. Like, you get stagnant, you start to lose that passion. You start to lose, you kind of forget what it's like, and you kind of have to restart and bring yourself back. And that's not always easy. Yeah. Oh God, writer's block's the worst, man. I've been dealing with that right now.
It's horrible. And it's like, you just kind of like, there's times where I won't listen to music for a week because I got to get everything out of my head. Like, I got to clear my head out, and I just listen to like nothing or the radio, and it sucks kind of, but it just kind of makes you focus on other things. So then you can come back. It's the same thing as when you're recording something, like you come back with fresh ears.
Yeah. We rewrote the lyrics to both songs like 3 days before we went into the studio, because I hated the lyrics that we had, and I wanted to see what we could do about it. And I think that that's one of those things, like, if you step away from a song for a week or two and come back to it, you can kind of see a little bit more of what you want to do with it. And I'm sure that that's happened to you guys with this process, at least. And it's awesome that you guys are trying to create this, a full length record with more of your own personal vibe on it, like all the way around. Dylan, you contributing a lot more on the writing side. That sounds awesome, man. Like, I didn't even really think that, like, I know Lee cranks out songs. Like, it's part of your lifeblood, man. It's something we did when we were living together,
Yeah.
What's the writing process like for you, Dylan, in this process now as you're starting to develop new stuff?
I can't even really describe a writing process, because for years I've wanted to write songs. Like, I like to write fiction. I went to school for English. Like, I love writing in general. But I can write prose. I can write, nonfiction. I can write a story for you. But I was never very good at poetry, which is what songwriting is. It's taking something vast that you want to say and speaking in more metaphorical terms, or in, it's something that I still don't fully grasp. It's something that I try to always work at. but I've never written a song until this past year that I haven't hated the day after I've written it. So I've, in the past, I've tried really hard to write stuff, and I've showed Lee, and like he's always, been super good about helping me like change things in it. But even with his help, there've been, until this year, literally 2020, there's been absolutely nothing I've written that I woke up the next day and thought, wow, that's a great song. It's always been like, why did I think this was good in the moment? It's super cliche. It's super try too hard. And this year I've written a couple so far, I guess actually 4 or 5 now, that, I guess my process is I write it in the moment, and I'm starting to get a feel for when I write something that might have potential. Whereas in the past, it was always kind of like, I'm going to spit a bunch of stuff on a page and we'll see how it goes. And then the next day I hate it. Now it's like, I can kind of feel in the moment when I have something that's like, this could actually be something. And we have 2 songs in our live rotation now that I actually wrote, and it still blows my mind because for years it's been like the songwriting process for us as a pair has been Lee comes up with the lyrics and then we write the music together. And now I've actually written a couple of things that I don't hate. And, he's even been like, this is pretty good. Like, we can work with this. And so I don't really have a process, really. It's just I'm going to write stuff, and the test is it going to spur something that I, think is good, or am I going to hate it the next day?
When I love working with people on stuff, and I love when it's not mine. Like I love just like seeing what people write and helping, like not to say helping, just like collaborating with them on something to be able to like be like, okay, like there's a song we played for a long time called Frequent Flyer.
Mm-hmm.
And we recorded it 2.5 years ago now. But me and Cole wrote that like 7 years ago.
Dang.
When he came back from New York. And he gave me the lyrics, and I loved the words he had, and I just cut them up, and I heard a melody in it, and I just kind of cut it up, and I was like, okay, like this kind of has a flow here, and then you just kept playing with it until you had the song, and that's the song. And they were Cole's words. And like, that stuff is so cool to me because, sometimes, like, and that's what I've been telling Dylan, like, right now, like, I got nothing as far as words. I just want to write some music, and Dylan's good with words, and he's been writing some good stuff, so let's roll with that. And it comes out any way it can, I mean, that's just what Jamal Murray's got to do right now, man. If he's not hitting shots, he's got to be the dish guy.
Exactly. That's the thing that I love about this current project with Gunpowder Empire is like I have Sean and I have Alex and I have Joey, and together, like the stuff we're writing together is amazing. These next 2 songs are written by the 4 of us together, and that's kind of why I'm a huge fan of what's coming out. And I have my degree is in English as well, so like I have that background of writing and mainly in poetry, creative writing. So I focused more on the poetry than the prose. So if we ever want to collaborate, I can help with the poetry part and you can write the prose for me. It'd be great.
Yeah, man. I'm always down.
But that's the other thing is like, I love the fact that you guys have found that rhythm together. You're working as a unit. And I don't think that's always the case with duos or any project really. Is sometimes you have like people who are centrally focused on, I write the lyrics, it's my job, I'm the vocalist, no one else can touch my fucking lyrics but me. You're a guitar player, stick to playing guitar, you're a drummer, stick to playing drums. I've been in bands like that, where like no one can make a suggestion to somebody outside of their realm of expertise. Like I'm a bass player, but I can't write a guitar part. That's bullshit. I'm sorry, but it is. We can work together. I will be honest with you and say, that's not going to fit for this song, or that's not very good. Let's try and make it better. That's something I don't think a lot of people take into account for a lot of bands anymore. And the ones that I'm seeing, at least locally, that are starting to kind of pick up pace and work together and start pushing are the ones that are collaborating and working as a unit like you guys.
When I say it all the time, I think people think I'm joking, and I'm totally not joking. Lee is the talent in this band. Like, Lee has been a songwriter and a musician for as long as I've known him. I did not pick up a bass until 6 years ago, and I'm still constantly learning. Like, I'm a novice. I taught myself how to play. I don't play, I'm not up there like Flea, just like turning this instrument into something you can't even recognize. Like,
Right.
I play pretty basic stuff, but I love music. And I think where we found our traction is the give and take, where Lee teaches me stuff constantly. And the songwriting stuff is something, like I just said, it's something I'm constantly working at as well. But I think being able to collaborate with someone that loves music as much as you do, you just start to build ideas out of nothing. And that's where the magic comes in. Is I've always loved music as long as I've been alive. Never in my life did I think I would be playing in a band. I just didn't see myself as someone that was going to find people that liked the same stuff I did and wanted to work the same schedule that I did. I think one of the hardest things for us has been, finding people that want to constantly do this. Like, if it was up to me and Lee, this would be our life. Like, we would play shows as often as we could get them, and we would make a living with our music. And that's something I think a lot of musicians aspire to. But I also think there's a lot of people that come into this thinking it's all going to be fun and games. And it's a lot of hard work. Like, it's not just let's get in a garage with our buds and just jam out and get drunk and just see what comes out. And I mean, there's stuff like that where stuff does fumble out and it's great. But it's like, it's a 24/7 deal. You might wake up in the middle of the night and be like, I've got a song idea. Or you might be in the middle of a show and be like, this song isn't getting traction, and the more we play it, the more I hate it, and we need to do something else. Like, it's always fine-tuning your craft, and I think that's what I love about it. It's not just a hobby. Its long-term goal is to be successful as an artist.
Right, and that's one of the most important things is if you don't have the passion for it, then you can do it as a weekender thing. You can enjoy it for what it is, but if you want to make a career out of it, or if you want to make it the end-all be-all for you, you have to sacrifice. I'll be honest, there was a period of time where I was fucking burnt out. Like, I toured, I did that whole thing. I really enjoyed it, but like, I got to a point where like I just couldn't handle the stress of the business side of it, which is the part I don't think a lot of people really pay attention to when you think about it. We're creatives. That's what we do. We create, we develop music, we develop these ideas, we do a lot of really cool things with it, but not all of us think about the contracts we have to worry about, the venues we have to deal with, the financial burden that is created by being a musician. Especially in this day and age, becoming a musician is almost fucking impossible because there's no real revenue stream unless you're playing every single night for 300 nights a year. And then
that's what's so rough is
yeah.
you have nothing until you do. And then as soon as you make it, it's like you haven't been trained on how to deal with the business side of things. You've been playing music, you've been doing the artistic side, and then it's like all of a sudden I have to navigate the side of this world where I'm not the only one trying to make it. The label is trying to make it. The venues are trying to make it. Like, I have to worry about what these other businesses are doing, and I'm not a businessman. I'm a creative, like you said. I'm not, you finally get to that point, and it's like, it's got to be rough. It's got to be confusing. I don't know how you navigate it, quite honestly.
You find somebody who's good at managing you who won't fuck you in the long run.
Which is what, a 1 out of 100.
Yeah. Well, and the other side of it too is you have to make sure that your image is good, because you can run into situations where you're putting yourself in a position where like a label, this isn't the 80s anymore, where a label will take a risk on a really good project, even though they're destroying hotel rooms and, fucking their way across America and doing drugs and getting drunk every fucking night. Like, that's not how the industry works anymore. You have to maintain some semblance of professionalism, or they won't take a risk on you, or they will drop you as fast as they picked you up if you become a problem, because there's 1,000 other bands just like you who want to be in your position. So coming from somebody who's gotten that taste of that and knows what that lifestyle is like, it's important to, exactly like you were saying, Dylan, we have to be able to figure out how to navigate that business side to be able to manage it as a full career. You know, it's not that simple. It's not just going up on stage, playing your guitar, singing your songs, and then coming off stage and be like, that was awesome. When do we get to do it again? It was like, that was awesome, but where's my cut for the evening? Where am I going to put this money? And what am I going to do to continue to generate funds for this project? When am I going to be able to quit my 9-to-5 so that I can make this a full-time job? Do I have to start a cover band?
Yeah.
Well, and it's funny, like, I guess this comes full circle with the whole video, but I thought about this recently because we always get, questions when we do things like this where they're like, what are your influences? And I always think about the same bands that we mentioned because they don't change. They're the bands that inspired us to play music. And most of them, it's kind of ironic, they're all the bands that didn't take the business side seriously. And they made a lot of money all at once, and then they were kind of forgotten because the business was like, you guys are just fucked up in the head, or you guys are just like not taking this seriously.
Yeah.
Like, two bands that we always come back to are the Replacements and Jonathan Fire Eater. And it's like, if you talk to 100 people on the street, maybe 5 know either of those bands, and yet they're hugely influential to a lot of bands that everyone loves. And that's the bands that we seem to gravitate towards. And I'm like, if we ever do get a taste of success, I hope we could at least go a little bit further. But at the same time, I don't ever want to lose what those guys had, which was just a genuine joy for playing music.
Right. And I think that's the important part, is like, you can't let the business side consume you, but you have to understand that it exists. And one of the bands that I know who's done a phenomenal job of taking care of that side is a band like Incubus. They have changed their sound because they've grown up and they've adjusted to what they want to continue to play, but they've never let the business side dictate what they play. And I think that that's something that a lot of people don't really understand about music. And we can both attest to this. All 3 of us can attest to this. We play what we want to play because it sounds good to us and it feels good. If we get a response from an audience, fucking awesome. But at the same time, we can't sit here and be like, well, I guess I have to write that pop song that everyone wants to listen to because I have to stay relevant. No, don't. You don't have to pander to what an audience wants. You do what you want, and hopefully an audience comes.
And I think that's what separates bands, and I think that's what we all have to hope for if you want to be successful, is you have to be yourself. You can't try to have an image. You can't try to be a certain way. You can't be like, my favorite band is blank, so I'm going to do what blank did. You have to just do what is you to its core. You need to find people that are interested in the same things you are, that are interested in the same styles that you are, that you just have fun playing with. And what comes forth from that is natural. And people can tell when you're naturally having a good time, when you're naturally saying something you want to say, people will hear that. And I think as long as you keep producing that kind of stuff, there's always a chance of that lightning in a bottle moment where people can say, holy crap, like, I just discovered this band out of nowhere. I'm going to show all my friends this. And there's a snowball effect. And I think that's all you can hope for. If you try too hard to change who you are, to try and impress somebody, that's when people, look at you and go, like, you're kind of manufactured. You're kind of, you sound just like this other band. You're trying to be, so-and-so cover band,
right?
Like you said.
And you don't want to just, people really can tell when you're being honest. And that's.
And you're absolutely right about the show. Like, we've played shows to one person, and we've played shows where the venue was packed and we didn't believe it. And it was like, if the one person in the crowd is dancing their ass off and having a good time, that's enough. If you touch one person when they come there and they go, this is cool, that's where the magic of performing live is. And that's why I got so just infatuated with it when we started playing together. Was, I had never been a live performer, and I wasn't sure if I was going to be someone that enjoyed it or if I was going to be someone that'd be good at it. But it's like when you get on that stage and you see even a handful of people having a good time, and it's stuff that you pulled out of the ether and it came from you, and those people are having fun with it, it's like you feel like a fucking magician. You're like, I pulled this out of thin air. I made this from nothing, and somebody is enjoying it. And no matter how many people it is, you're like, holy shit, that's cool.
Right. And that
it sustains you.
Yeah. And it's crazy. Like, I'm sure you guys have had this where someone you don't even know who saw you for the first time stops you after your set and says, that one song you played, man, that song hit me right here.
And that's exactly what I always want to hear, is that somebody can pick a song out, all the crap that you played, and they remember that song, and then they remember it every time that they come, because that means that, like, it's memorable. Like, you know how many times you go to some of these bands, these concerts, and it all blends together.
Yeah.
And I can't remember a melody.
Yeah.
I can't remember this or that. Like, and when I hear a band where I can, like, remember a song that I've never heard before, and I can't really understand what they're saying because the sound kind of sucks, but it's like whatever. But it's like, holy shit, like that's what you want.
Right.
That's like that moment where it's like, oh, I did something right.
Yeah. And the best thing too is, and this is a crazy experience. I'm sure you guys have had this happen since you guys have been playing so much, is that first time you see someone you don't know singing the lyrics to your songs and like singing along note for note and knowing what's coming next, and like watching them pause with you in a breakdown or swaying to a guitar solo or a sax solo, like you have those moments where you're like, I'm touching that person with what I'm creating here and making this an unbelievable experience. Like, I think that is why I miss playing to an audience. That's what I miss, performing in front of a camera. But again, I also love doing this podcast because I've had people respond to it who have talked to me about it and said, I love that guest you had on. He had some really important things to say. I love that you are promoting this person who I wouldn't have thought of to be somebody that to follow or to listen to, and it's those kind of things that I want to create. The episode I released yesterday is a guy named Adam Ramey of a band called Dropout Kings. They're a trap metal band from Arizona. I heard about them because of another band that I saw live and they did a collaboration with. And I started following them, and their vocalist and I became friends. He's recruiting people to come on my podcast because of the episode that we did together. That's the kind of thing I want to see continue with the music industry, is we work together and create these feelings from everyone, no matter what genre. Like, I want to play a show with you guys with the acoustic version of Gunpowder. I want to play a show with Dropout Kings with the full band of Gunpowder. Like, I think those both are opportunities where we can all grow together. What do you guys think about that?
That's what I crave around here, and I think it's gotten better, but it's still very cliquey in Colorado, and it gets grating at times where it's like you have a lot of people pay you, lip service, but there's a lot of bands out there that you can tell will cut throats just to get ahead, and it's like we're all at the same level. You can sit here and act like you're on another tier, but we're playing the same venues. We're playing to the same amount of people, and you still want to act like you need to, like, go behind people's backs and be cutthroat, when it's like we could all form a community. And there's no one specific that I'm calling out with that, but it's like I crave that community. And with some of our previous bands, it's funny, we play a lot more in the northern Colorado area now. We play mostly predominantly Loveland, Fort Collins, sometimes Greeley area. But when we were in Harvestman, we played almost exclusively in Denver. And the thing I loved about the Denver scene was how inclusive it felt. And in Northern Colorado, it's so much more like
exclusive.
Yeah, it's just, you feel like there's certain bands you meet that you're like, these guys are really cool. And then there's certain bands you meet where it's like, it just feels like they're trying to like size you up. And
They're
like,
cagey.
I don't understand the point of that, because it's like we're all trying to like make a community. Why are you trying to be so, I guess, yeah, like you said, cagey?
Elitist
It's
or
weird.
elitist.
Yeah, yeah.
And
It's like,
And even if you made it, why would you want to look down on the scene that built you? You know what I mean? Like, I just don't get it sometimes. And it was really weird because, like, we loved to play in Denver when we were in Harvestman. Like, we loved, I think our favorite venue was probably Lion's Lair.
Lions Lair's
Because
the shit, literally
Oh, man,
and figuratively. I love
we
that
still,
place.
we still love that place. And I mean, we didn't have a fan base in Denver because we lived in Northern Colorado. And we still had people come in off the street that heard what we were doing and came into the bar. And we always had a great time because the community like supported itself. But it's like in Fort Collins and Loveland and this area, like it's 3 times as hard to get people interested. And I think we've done a pretty decent job of it, but it's still like, I want to feel more of a community. I want people to do what you said and come together, because if we all, you know, it sounds cheesy, but if we all work together at this, like, we can build an actual scene.
kumbaya.
Like you said, we go to Austin city limits every year, and the biggest takeaway I have from a place like Austin is every single bar and restaurant in the downtown Austin area is filled with music and intimidating musicians, like guys that you're like, how the hell are you playing this little shitty dive bar? You sound like some virtuoso. And it's like, I want that sort of aspect in this area where like the bars are filled with musicians and people are seeking out these towns to go see them, and the musicians are holding each other up. They're not fighting each other to try and get the spots. They're not talking shit about each other to try and get people to their shows and not other shows. And I just don't feel that yet. It's gotten better, but I really hope after this pandemic especially, people go, wow, like we need to be better at building a music community.
Well, and that's the thing that I have kind of been trying to be better about in the Denver scene. So the Denver metal scene is, and I'm not going to name any names, but there are particular artists in the Denver scene who tend to lean towards that elitist idea. And what's interesting about it is we're all in the same boat. Like, sure, some of us are able to do regional tours or get to go out and do mid-level touring, but 90% of us have fucking day jobs. None of us have made a full career out of this. And that's kind of where I want us to like work together, you know, promote when a band releases a track and it's somebody you respect and you want to be a part of and you want to work with. You promote that track, you promote their EP, you put their shit out with them. You back them up when they have the opportunities, you know, and it's one of those things where like, if we worked together, we could develop what could be the next Seattle grunge scene, the next Massachusetts, New England metal scene, you know, the Nashville folk scene. You know, every major region has had those bands that have worked together to create a community, which then in turn, they bring each other together wherever that leads to. I mean,
What about
California
the
pop
Lumineers,
punk.
dude?
What? What about the Lumineers? Is that what you said?
All right, moving on. Let's not talk about that.
Fray. Sorry.
Oh, the
Yeah.
Fray. Big Head Todd and the Monsters. Woo! They're from Denver. I mean, or Boulder at least.
I like Big Ed Todd. They're fine.
They're awesome. I love them.
What's
That's the
that
other
one?
thing too. Is
Rose Hill Drive.
there's a bunch of fucking bands from Denver and the Colorado. that have had pretty solid careers and are still, some of them still going strong. Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Swept. Like that's just to name one that's done fucking amazing things in the last few years.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier, but he plays, how many shows at Red Rocks every year and sells them all out. And it's like he's definitely speaking to, a crowd. Like people like him.
Well, and I think if we come together and work together as a community, despite fuck genres, I don't care. Like, I love the fact that you guys are not the same as my projects. I like the fact that
thank God.
I like the fact that the female vocalist we had on our tracks is in like a funk soul band. Yeah, they're called Soul Satellite. They fucking rule. They're awesome.
Whoa. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'll send you a link to their Spotify later.
Okay.
But if we work together and promote each other and aim to build a community, I think that that's something that would drastically help the music scene as a whole everywhere.
I feel like there just needs to be more focus, and I don't know how that occurs because it's something that has to happen organically, but like
It's perspective.
I just feel like there's been a couple of bands on the radar that get big out of Colorado, but there's not a scene. There's not an actual scene.
Like Nashville or Austin.
Exactly. Like, it's just not, like I said, it's not a community.
It's not
like
cohesive.
It's everyone trying to fight each other to get that piece of the pie, when it's like there's going to be 1 out of 1,000 of you that do anything, and you ought to all work together and make a whole group of people want to come see whatever's going on, not just come to this one bar and I'm going to talk shit about all these other bands, so don't go to those places. It needs to be an actual community where people want to come to these cities and see music, not one specific act, but music in general.
You think with all the money moving here that
might be part of the problem.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're buying it all out. Well, never mind.
But that's the other part of it is I think that's the other issue we have, especially in Denver, is the lack of local venues. We're running into situations where like all of the good like performance venues are now owned by Live Nation or AEG. Like Larimer Lounge is now owned by Live Nation, but they still allow for
You're kidding me.
No. But they still do local shows there. The Marquee is owned by Live Nation, but they don't promote local shows anymore.
Nice.
Summit is owned by Live Nation, and they don't promote local shows anymore. And the other problem is like the majority of rock or heavy rock venues in Denver are on the outskirts now. Like the only one is Herman's in the heart of South Broadway. But everything else is up north, like at Cheers is in Thornton, North Glen area. We don't Trailside, which is a small little saloon that we did that acoustic show at. That's mainly like a deathcore and like metal venue. It's in the middle of nowhere, Thornton. Like, we don't have. I live in the South Metro area where there are no fucking venues. There's nothing there for any of us to be able to do anything. That's the stressful part. It sounds like you guys.
I think that's maybe what's going to be birthed from necessity, and maybe it's a blessing in disguise. Like I think in most instances in the past where there have been scenes that have emerged, it's been because the young people are doing things that are outside of what they've been told they can't do. And with all these venues being bought up by major companies, with the pandemic happening and there not being live shows happening, I just read recently, we haven't talked about this yet, but we did most of our live streams through Facebook. And now they are basically saying that they're going to start kicking people off of live streams.
There's a caveat to that. So it's only if they are non-active live streams. So like if you're just streaming your album on Spotify with an image, Yeah, but they're going to allow for live streams as long
Okay.
as it's like an active live performance.
But it worries me because
Right, it's
what's
still
the
an
next
issue.
step? And it's like, I think at some point necessity is going to be bred from, you know, all this sort of negativity where the younger musicians are going to say, we're going to start playing backyard shows. We're going to start live streaming through YouTube, or we're going to start doing this or that. And maybe organically something is going to happen that's positive from all of this, where it's like, there's always been ways around the major companies, and that's been the soul of music. Like,
Yeah.
you don't make your way through the, you know, the corporation and go like, now I'm a great band. It's usually the band that everyone flocks to, that the corporations are going, well, shit, we couldn't put our thumb on that, and now we need to go sign those guys.
Right, and then you're running into situations now where, so fun statistical fact, did you know that there are 30,000 songs released every day?
I mean, it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, because any Tom, Dick, and Harry can get Fruity Loops and write a rap track and put it on SoundCloud. I mean, we could revive Fan, bring that back together, and create some amazing music. But at the same time, like, the quality isn't always there, but there's a massive quantity, which is creating this kind of like bottleneck that we run into. And you have to essentially fight yourself to be the noise inside the noise, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So I completely agree with you, Dylan, that we need to find a way to supersede what's going on. The negative of the Facebook thing is that people are misconstruing what it's going to be, so it's going to force themselves to be forced off of the platform, which honestly isn't a fucking problem. I honestly think Facebook has kind of devalued its aspect of promoting projects anyway.
Oh yeah. I mean, Facebook for me is a calendar at this point. Like, if you didn't have to use Facebook to survive as a project, you know, I would have deleted it a long time ago, quite honestly.
If I didn't use it to communicate with family and be a central point to staying in contact with family who aren't in state, that's the main reason I still have it.
Yeah.
And promoting this, obviously, and promoting the band. Yeah, Lee, you're the anomaly in all of this shit because you have none of that stuff.
Lee's off the grid, man.
Yeah, dude, and I'm still on the grid doing music.
Lee lives in the forest. He doesn't have a cell phone. He
Fucking eats
fishes
berries.
for his dinner.
You
Yeah,
eat
staff
berries and
food.
fish for dinner. Is Devin cool with that too? She's living in a tent with you?
Yeah, she lives on the grid. They see each other on weekends.
Yeah, he lives like 20 feet away on the grid.
On the grid, 20 feet
Yeah.
away. Is your nephew gonna get into playing music at all? Does he have any interest in that?
He was playing
Your
trumpet
son,
for a
I guess?
while, wasn't he?
He
Oh, yeah?
was, he was really good at it, man. He was,
I think we're gonna teach him a weird instrument and have him be like the gimmick in our band, like
The
harpsichord,
theremin.
or what's that other one?
The theremin?
Yeah, theremin would be cool. I'd be down with theremin.
Didgeridoo?
yeah.
I toured
like
with a
that
band when I toured with a band in Red Tide that they called themselves Didgeridoo Metal because they had like 3 songs where they played a didgeridoo. Now, fun fact, they were from New Zealand and the other band in the tour was from Australia, and they were fucking pissed that the the New Zealand band, not only did they play a fucking didgeridoo in some of their songs, but they covered AC/DC. And the olive branch was extended when the guy that I'm interviewing on Monday, this coming Monday, in Australia, so I have to do it at like 8 p.m., which is like noon for them. They invited him up to sing Thunderstruck. So that was the olive branch.
I think I can speak for all of us, though. I know we've been talking a lot about music, but I think I can speak for all of us when I say we just want to aspire to be on the hilltop that Kanye West is on, where we can put a Grammy in the toilet and piss all over it on social media and sell like 1 million records that day.
Oh my God.
That's badass.
That
I didn't know
guy,
he did
man. That guy.
Yeah, you're off the grid. You didn't see that. Yesterday, Kanye's mad at his contract, his record contract. So he put a Grammy of his in the toilet and literally just filmed himself pissing all over it. And that was on his Twitter account.
Oh my God.
Jesus Christ.
Now,
Yeah, I think it's still up because he's pretty proud of it. So everyone should go watch it.
I mean, Alice in Chains made a fucking toilet paper holder out of their Grammy.
that's true. They did. Now, is that more embarrassing or what came out about OBJ more embarrassing?
Oh, yeah.
I only heard. So has that been proven or is that rumors?
I think people ran with it enough that it's true.
Here's my
I'm
whole
gonna
thing
Snopes
on
that
the
real quick.
situation. My whole thing on the situation is I have him in fantasy football. So if getting pooped on helps him score me points, I will poop all over that guy.
Oh my God.
I'm pretty sure he said, yeah, I said that. I did that. That was me.
You know, some of us like to be pooped on. It's fine.
You know what? As long as
There's some weird stuff on the internet, man.
yeah, so it sounds like he's joked about it, but he hasn't denied it, so I'm gonna claim potential fact. Partially true.
Well, you should change his number to 2, you know.
He does play for the Browns after all.
The Browns.
Hopefully the Browns can go to the Super Bowl this year, you know.
dropping the kids off at the pool. Yeah. That'd be pretty great, but they looked really bad against Baltimore. So
They're playing right now. I can see it out of the corner of my eye. They're winning. But
the
they're
Browns
playing
are
the
winning?
Bengals, so
yeah. You mean Jesus Joe Burrow isn't doing his thing?
he's a youngin'. He'll be good, but not this year.
Jesus,
Yeah.
Joe.
I actually think T-Law could be a decent NFL quarterback if he goes to the right system.
Oh yeah, I think he's great.
But it'll be interesting. What do you think about Tua? Do you think he'll get some time in Miami here this year?
I think they'll definitely let him play a little bit, but I also think it sounds like he's got a really good bond with Fitzpatrick, who is he's been in the league for a while. He's had flashes of greatness.
He's the smartest quarterback.
Hey, he went to Harvard.
Yeah, he scored the highest on whatever that
The
stupid
Wonderlic.
test is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Byron
Yeah, I
Leftwich
think
scored the
Tua-
lowest.
I could do that if I wanted.
I think Tua will get some time, especially if the Dolphins end up dropping most of their games. I think halfway through the season they'll be like, you can start this game and play for a little bit and we'll switch out. But I think down the line he's going to be a superstar for sure.
I wouldn't be surprised. I think if they let him, if he's fully healthy, he's a deadly quarterback. I will admit this as one of the biggest Alabama haters because they're so good. That I think every piece that came out of Alabama this year, in the first 2 rounds, I think will have unbelievable NFL careers. I am so excited for Jerry Jeudy. I cannot wait to watch that guy grow into the next
Yeah, I know
Rod Smith.
I know a lot of people around here are upset with the drops, but it's his first NFL game with no preseason.
2 drops.
Yeah. I read some article today where they were just like, he's got to get this under control, and I'm like, he's going to be fine. He's going to be fine.
Yeah,
Two drops.
and I think he will be the key. Once Cortland Sutton's healthy, you can't double team both of them and leave Noah Fant open.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a huge difference in the Broncos offense come this year. But
When
we'll
you
see.
saw some of the routes he ran and some of his footwork, and it's like, that's a once in a lifetime player. Like, you don't see receivers built like that. He's just very intelligent and very fast. He's not as fast as Henry Ruggs, but he's a better route runner than Henry Ruggs. Like, that's what was cool about seeing those guys on the same team is like, am I going to cover Jerry Jeudy and probably get juked out of my shoes, or am I going to cover Henry Ruggs and he's just going to run past me? Like, that's why those teams were so successful at Alabama, was you had 3 or 4 wide receivers that you're like, I'm going to get beaten in 100 different ways by these guys.
I'll tell you what, man. Ruggs and Jeudy, big key pieces. I think, especially with a guy like Locke, if Locke can get I think part of it too is not having the preseason. Locke can get the overthrows under control 2-3 weeks down the line. Those routes with Patrick, Jeudy, and Sutton, and then Hamler and Hamilton. If using their speed, you have a lot of deadly weapons on that team, and it's going to be
Well,
fun.
the players like him. That's half the battle. Like
Oh, yeah.
you come in as a rook, and like you never know if you're going to have control of that locker room because people are going to look at you and be like, "You don't know what you're doing. We've been here." And Drew Lock obviously has the respect of his peers, and he's a easygoing guy. He seems like a nice guy. He seems like he gets along with his teammates. And, I mean, you see him, talk the talk and walk the walk. Like, he doesn't pretend like he knows everything. He doesn't have this sort of cockiness to him where he's just like, I'm fucking top dog in this organization. Like, I think he's got a future there. I think he's the first quarterback in a while for the Broncos that I'm like, I could see him making something of himself and maybe being a franchise quarterback.
Like Jake Plummer, man.
Dude,
I like Jake Plummer.
Jake Plummer
I know,
got
I
the
liked
fucking
him. I wasn't
shaft,
making fun of
man. Yeah,
Jake the Snake.
I like Jake Plummer.
Jake Plummer got fucked by Jay Cutler, and that's the shitty part. We were a drive away from going to the fucking AFC Championship. Drive away from going to the Super Bowl.
Oh, I know.
The year
AFC
before they
Championship.
drafted Jay Cutler,
Yep.
and
I don't care about any of these people. You guys missed out on Bradley Van Pelt, all right? He was your franchise.
oh
See
my
those
god,
abs?
don't even get me started on Van Pelt.
That
fucking-
those abs, dude.
Fucking Bradley
Great cheese
Van
on
Pelt.
those.
Oh, Jesus Christ. We went through Bradley Van Pelt and Brady Quinn, like the
Hot.
bro clan of quarterbacks in the NFL.
Oh man, Brady
Fucking-
Quinn.
Fucking Brady Quinn, Matt Leinart.
Now I'm done.
Fuck. Now I'm done. I
That's
finished
all
my
right.
workout till I've had my EAS.
As a Panthers fan, I saw our team draft Jimmy Clausen. And
Notre Dame quarterbacks. Sorry, Ryan, if you're watching
that was
this.
probably the worst draft pick I've ever seen. I know people, get bashed on Jamarcus Russell and Ryan Leaf, but I'm like, Jimmy Clausen was pretty fucking bad.
Yeah, but Jimmy Clausen didn't shit himself out of the NFL by drinking scissor or having a mental breakdown and started doing drugs. He just sucked.
Oh, yeah.
That's the difference.
That's why he doesn't have an excuse.
You know what, though? At least he didn't play for the – wait, did he play for the Browns? I'm pretty sure all three of us were the starting quarterback for the Browns in the mid-2000s.
Yeah, I was a starting quarterback for the Browns in 2007.
Tim Couch got injured, and
I threw 9 interceptions, and I won Rookie of the Year for the Browns.
They drafted me from
All right, Peterman.
football.
Well, shit, when we were in college, we had a punter get stabbed, so there's that.
Yeah. I knew that girl that was the
girlfriend?
guy's girlfriend. Yeah.
So I don't know what it is about living in northern Colorado, but we only ever get national news when it's something just horribly embarrassing. And today, one of our mutual friends posted something on Facebook. It was from Tosh.0, and it was the daily newspaper from my hometown, Loveland, Colorado. It was about Jake Butt, and it says Butt is ready for action. And that was the in the Reporter Herald.
Yeah, and then the bottom part said
And
something
it made
about like
national news.
something at the bottom, like the caption of it too said like, quote, tight end is in, quote, best shape of his life or some shit like that. I saw that.
Oh my, you have to find it. It's probably in the paper, like outside of your house right now. It says Butt is ready for more action.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Don't you have editors for this shit? Like, come on.
I think the Reporter Herald is run by like 2 people right now, so
Oh, okay.
they're lucky they were awake enough to write anything.
They're in the alley behind where it used to be.
Just writing it and printing it
That
themselves.
was my first job ever in 6th grade, was delivering papers to the Reporter Herald. So shout out Reporter Herald.
There you go. Are you guys excited for anything? Like, are you going to try and go to theaters anytime soon? Are any of them open up there?
I think I'm still too nervous about going to theaters. Maybe. I'm really psyched about the new Dune movie.
Oh, dude, that looks so good.
Yeah, I love that director. I loved the sequel to Blade Runner. I didn't know that anyone would make something that actually was good long after.
Isn't that Ryan Johnson?
No, it's Dennis. I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
Okay.
Villeneuve, I think, maybe.
Okay. Nice.
But he did a great job with that. He also did Arrival, which was fantastic. I think it's in capable hands. I'm one of the minority, I think, that loved David Lynch's Dune.
Oh, dude,
partly
that shit was
because
awesome.
yeah, partly because I'm a David Lynch fanboy, but I also just thought it was visually just really cool.
Oh yeah,
So
that's
I'm
right.
excited to
Twin
see
Peaks
it.
and all that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, David Lynch is a G. And his was correct me if I'm wrong. His was the one with Sting, the 2 VHS, like the 6-hour epic, right?
No, it was only about 2.5.
Okay, but
He
it felt
wanted
like
it to
6
be-
hours.
He wanted it to be over 3 hours, but part of the problem was the studio was like, no one's gonna sit through that, so they didn't let him have final cut. And that's the reason why he hates that movie. Like, he doesn't even want to talk about it, is because they basically took it from him and said, you're under contract, we're going to cut it the way we want to do it. So he basically, I don't think will ever work on a major studio film again, because he was like, that was miserable, I hate the film, I don't want to talk about it. And most people that go back now are like, this is actually pretty cool. And he's just like, I didn't get final cut, fuck that film. So
Yeah. Well, ironically enough, Zack Snyder's felt the same way about his DC movies, like Suicide Squad and Batman vs Superman, because his cut of Suicide Squad actually makes sense. It's still a shitty movie, but it makes sense.
I'm so glad you said that, because that was one of the worst movies I've ever paid good American money to go see.
Yeah.
And I went with a girlfriend at the time to go see it, and it was just sort of a spur of the moment thing where we were like, what's playing? All right, let's go see Suicide Squad. And then I was like, this is the worst fucking movie. Like, within 10 minutes, I was like,
And she
ready
loved
to go.
it, huh?
No, she hated it too.
Okay,
we were
good.
both just like, let's just finish this. Like, let's just let this happen to us.
Speaking of taking a girlfriend to a movie, I took a girlfriend once to go see. Have you ever seen A Cure for Wellness? It's a Gore
No.
Verbinski film.
Uh-huh.
It's really, really good. I liked it a lot. Jason Isaac is in it. Can't think of the main guy in it, but he's great, and the music's fantastic. I'm pretty sure we broke up because of that movie. Like,
Was that the one that was like based in a mental institution?
yeah, in Switzerland. It's
Yeah,
it's
I
like
saw the previews for it. It looked interesting. Was it any good?
I own it. It's great. I love it.
Huh. I might have
I
to
thought
watch
it was
that.
really good.
It looked really scary.
It's intense. It's got its moments, but I'm pretty sure she hated it. Like, hated it, and I loved it. And I was like, this isn't gonna work.
That's like a Seinfeld moment right there. Like, she hated the film.
She hated the film.
She hated it. She hated it.
That's the other thing. So Hillary's never really watched Seinfeld. She's more of a Friends person. So, like,
What?
I make Seinfeld references all the time, and she's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh my god.
I'm like, oh. But it's okay. Our first date was watching Clue and ordering food here on that couch. Right there.
Watching what?
Clue
Clue?
with Tim Curry and Michael McCune. It's from the 80s.
That's a thing.
You never seen Clue?
No.
It's pretty good.
Oh, dude, it's great.
All right.
Yeah, I
That's
recommend
kinda
it.
Crazy.
It's really funny. Christopher Lloyd.
Good cast.
It's a
All
great
right.
cast. It's a fantastic cast.
Anything with Tim Curry is gold.
They should make a Monopoly movie.
I'm gonna buy this property in my thimble.
I think that was Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh yeah.
But I didn't see anybody with a monocle in that movie,
He had one. He just didn't wear it. They wanted it to be more realistic.
and he shaved off his mustache too.
Yeah. He did a lot of coke.
Yeah, and then MLB The Show is just hardball, or Moneyball, and
I
hardball.
still haven't seen Moneyball. I can't believe I haven't seen it.
Well, I'm
Why?
definitely gonna have to edit this one because we've been talking for 2 hours.
I was gonna say, I feel like we could keep talking for hours. I feel like we just need to like start FaceTiming weekly or something.
Shit, maybe. But I'm gonna throw you guys on a single shot here and help promote whatever the fuck you want. Tell us where we can find you guys on the social medias, where we can find your music. All of it will be on the screen right here while you guys are talking, and it'll also be in the description below for the YouTube video and in the podcast. So the floor is yours, gentlemen.
You can find us on all social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Facebook, I think we're at Sogs Band, and Instagram and Twitter, we're at _Sogs, I believe. We're on all streaming services. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music. Basically, just look up the Sogs. We should pop up. We're also on Bandcamp. I know there's still some people out there that like to download their music and have their files. We don't charge anything on Bandcamp, so if you like to actually own your music and download it on your computer, you can either donate if you like, or you can take it for free. We really don't care. We also are on SoundCloud. We have a few different tracks on there. That's free as well.
Wear your mask.
Wear your mask, definitely.
Definitely. Always be social justice conscious. Black Lives Matter. Respect your neighbor. Love each other. It's hard times. We gotta get through it.
Hell
We
yeah.
gotta come out the other end.
Yeah, man.
Wear
I
your
think that's
fucking mask.
I think that's the biggest thing that I'll definitely, we can close with this, is I think the most important thing we need to do now is work together. No matter what our stances are, no matter where we are together, as long as we work together, we will get through anything. And honestly, I think that's the biggest problem we face right now, is that we're not working together. We're working against each other. We need to work.
Listen to each other.
This will be the one political thing that I say for this. It is, we need to stop bickering amongst ourselves and look at the people at the top that are causing all the bickering. And there are more of us than there are of them. And it's time to freaking realize that.
Amen. And that's something I think we all can attest to, man, is that we need to stand together, not apart. And that's the part that is the most important thing through all of this, is we have to come together. That's the only thing I will say about that, as well, as we have to come together. With that being said, gentlemen, thank you for letting me steal a long ass moment.
Well, after this shit dies down, we need to make sure we make some more current stories.
Fuck yeah. And let's collaborate. I want to get in on some of this action. I want to work with you guys.
That'd be fun, man.
Musically and just in life.
Send it.
I miss you fucking guys a ton. All right, gents. I'll see you guys in a couple weeks.
Sounds good, man. Take it easy. Thanks
Later.
for having us.
Of course. Peace.
It almost feels like someone else is living my life. 'Cause it almost